So tonight I want to talk about propaganda. Propaganda has been a tool of dictators and strongmen for decades. Most particularly, it was used by the fascists in the 1930s and 40s, by Hitler, by Stalin, by Mussolini. Because of the prevalence of propaganda in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, it was in the 1950s that Congress passed a law explicitly prohibiting the use of taxpayer dollars to fund propaganda in America. You probably can tell where I'm going with this. Well, propaganda is back. Propaganda is back in a big way in the United States of America. Let's take a look at these banners.
President Trump's picture is now hanging on the side of the U.S. Department of Agriculture building in Southwest D.C. We sent one of our photojournalists to investigate a Reddit post showing the banner, and we saw it for ourselves just a few hours ago. It's hanging alongside the banner of the department's founder, President Abraham Lincoln.
They're at the Department of Agriculture and at the Department of Labor. In an investigation that my office conducted, we found that the administration had to date spent tens of thousands of dollars on these propaganda banners, taxpayer money in violation of the law. And they have plans to expand these propaganda banners elsewhere. But it goes well beyond the $50,000 or so spent on these banners to date. In fact, the Trump administration has spent over $50 million on other propaganda. Let's take a look at what is the most widely seen political ad of this campaign season. And astonishingly, it's not a campaign ad, not explicitly. It is a U.S. taxpayer dollar funded ad featuring Kristi Noem thanking Donald Trump for his egregious immigration policies. Take a look.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border, for deporting criminal illegal immigrants, and for putting America first.
So $51 million have been spent on that. There's an anticipation they will spend over $200 million on the contract they have with the ad agency, a Republican ad agency, for which they will be using U.S. taxpayer dollars for Trump, Kristi Noem propaganda. And it goes beyond this offensive video by Kristi Noem. It also includes propaganda after the passage of the big ugly bill, when the Trump administration used government funds, taxpayer funds, to send emails to Social Security recipients falsely claiming that as a result of this bill, 90% of Social Security payments would be tax-free, and making other provably false claims to burnish that very partisan bill. Essentially, they used Social Security recipients' emails as a political mailing list for the president. During the course of the shutdown, we have seen this egregious propaganda, use of propaganda, multiply. So during the shutdown, when Americans have gone to websites, they have seen messages like this one. The radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on the American people unless they get their $1.5 trillion wish list of demands. The Trump administration wants to keep the government open for the American people. That's the propaganda being placed on federal websites paid for with U.S. taxpayer dollars. A more accurate legend on those websites would be the Republicans control the House and the Senate and the White House. They've shut down the government rather than address the healthcare needs of the American people. But of course, that isn't going to appear anywhere using government resources. But it's not just these messages on websites. Indeed, the Trump administration has commandeered the personal email accounts of federal employees and used them to send replies to U.S. taxpayers and citizens who write to government agencies with messages like this one. For example, the Labor Department required this auto email to go out when you email employees of the Labor Department. Thank you for contacting me. On September 19, 2025, the House of Representatives passed H.R. 5371, a clean continuing resolution. Unfortunately, Democratic senators are blocking passage of H.R. 5371 in the Senate, which has led to a lapse in appropriations. This is simply not true, and more so, it is just flat-on partisan propaganda and also a clear violation of the law. So in addition to the $51 million spent on the Noem videos, in addition to the $50,000 spent on banners portraying Donald Trump glaring down at you from federal buildings, these false messages sent to Social Security recipients, propaganda that is using U.S. government websites and the auto replies of federal employees. You have this additional use of propaganda. Again, Kristi Noem now displaying at airports, again, falsely and partisanly attacking Democrats over the shutdown. Take a look.
It is TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and efficient airport experience as possible while we keep you safe. However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government, and because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay. We will continue to do all that we can to avoid delays that will impact your travel. And our hope is that Democrats will soon recognize the importance of opening the government.
Now, these airport ads are being refused by many airports around the country. And if you see them at an airport you're traveling through, you should reach out to your representatives and ask that those ads be taken down. Because in addition to violating federal law by playing these ads, by playing this propaganda, it violates the law in many states, as it does in the state of California. Finally, here's the danger with this now runaway propaganda by the Trump administration. And it is that your money, your taxpayer money, is not being used to improve the quality of your life, but to improve the image, the reputation of Donald Trump and his Republican enablers. If we continue down this path, where millions and millions of U.S. taxpayer dollars are being used to brandish the image of this authoritarian president, where propaganda is being pushed out by federal agencies, where the laws against propaganda are being willfully violated, then pretty soon our newscasts and our information is going to look a lot like this.
경의하는 최고 용도자 동지께서는 트럼프 대통령이 편리한 시기에 평양을 방문하도록 초청하셨으며 트럼프 대통령도 김정은 국무위원장께서 미국을 방문하여 주실 것을 초청했습니다.
So thanks for watching tonight's video. We started doing these nightly videos as a way of identifying something really important that happened today or this week, what we should make of it, and how we can fight back. As you can see, I like to include movie clips. If you have any suggestions for other movie clips I should include in future videos, please share them with us. And thank you for following along.